Cool. Hi, Akash.
Hi
How are
Suneet, how
you?
are you? All good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm so happy to host you today. And firstly, welcome to the Supply Chain Insider. It's a series in which we speak with multiple supply chain leaders from India and across the globe in
Yeah.
different industries. And
Um,
hello, peeps, meet Akash. He is a corporate employee turned co-founder of Zomoz, which is one of the fastest growing QSR, which is basically quick service restaurants in multiple cities. Akash sells yummy momos. If you haven't tried them yet, go check out the nearby franchisee store, which offers different flavors and fried momos and boiled momos, steamed momos, whatnot. Yeah, thanks again, Akash.
Perfect. Thanks for having me, Suneet. Thanks for having me. This is quite a lovely introduction. Uh, yeah, we do sell. I would request, in fact, everyone who would eventually listen to this podcast to go and visit our stores and try our products. Won't push hard.
Sure, why not? Hyderabad being a food loving city, I think every food that's on the street is loved by people,
Yeah,
be it the fried momos, be it the fast food, and of course, how can I forget the biryani, which is the love of Hyderabadis.
absolutely.
So, what's your favorite dish in Hyderabad, though?
So in fact, for that matter, I eat less of momos and more of biryani. I'm more of a biryani guy, right? And
High five on that, Akash. Same here.
I think that's core Hyderabadis, right? As Hyderabadis, we love to try a lot of
Oh
new
yeah.
biryani places and spicy food.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The love and hunt for Hyderabadi biryani never ends. I
Yeah,
probably tried biryani from 30 or 40 different stores, and I still can't pick one favorite because every restaurant has a unique flavor that we one of us would relish.
true,
I
true.
agree.
That's true. Yeah,
Awesome. Cool. We can actually get started with our conversation about your interesting journey in which you were a corporate employee at some point of time in your career and now you co-founded a company. So I can call you an entrepreneur. Been a few years that you've been building and scaling up Zomos. Can you
yeah.
just tell us about how your journey started and why did you even think about becoming an entrepreneur? Because you were comfortable in your job, being a corporate employee, you get paid on time, you have limited challenges, but I
Yeah.
believe getting into the entrepreneurship journey is challenging in itself. We'll probably want to know how that journey started.
Sure, sure. So I'll give a little background, right? So I'm
Sure.
an MBA in supply chain and operations, but I currently in
Oh,
Zomoz,
wow.
I'm
Okay.
handling finance and strategy, right? So I tell you, post my MBA, I kind of joined Deloitte
Uh-huh.
from campus directly. I was into management consulting. Worked a couple of years,
Okay.
1 year in Hyderabad, 1 year in the US, majorly consulting all the retail sector, FMCG clients on the
Mm-hmm.
supply chain optimization, right?
Mm-hmm.
During this
Mm-hmm.
phase, I also met my
Mm-hmm.
co-founder, Shreyas. So Shreyas and I are
Oh,
batchmates from SPGen. So together,
wow.
what we did was during our Deloitte days, right, as a side hustle, we took a franchisee of Zomoz, right?
Oh, okay.
How
Okay.
it all started. So it's an interesting story. We took a franchisee in, I think, in 2018, around second half of 2018. We ran it for an
Uh-huh.
year. We realized that's a highly scalable model. And, as luck would have it, I was, in fact, at that time consulting in the same industry, in the frozen food industry. And I could see the
Okay.
scale with which, these frozen food players were scaling, globally.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, Shares was, and given that emotional support from him, we together thought, let's take that plunge and, kind of. So we approached Shavik. So Shavik is the main founder. He is the founder
Okay.
CEO. He started the company in 2016. So when we joined in
Okay.
2019, right, there was already, kind of
Mm-hmm.
a product market fit was there, right? So the basic
Mm-hmm.
key 0 to 1 journey was done by him,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
We are now the part of the the 1 to 10 phase, wherein
Wow.
we are trying to scale the brand. So initially, I joined as a business head,
Mm-hmm.
from Deloitte as Zomos, in Zomos, and then post that worked. Now it's been 4 years. Couple of years back, Shavik was kind enough to give us that. respect and this thing, and he then elevated us to co-founders. Right. So
Wow.
we have been running the company together. We are at about 70 odd locations pan India, predominantly operating in South. Uh, Hyderabad,
Hmm.
Bangalore, Chennai being the major cities.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we are experimenting a lot with tier two cities. We are doing extremely well, in a couple of smaller cities like Mysore and Bangalore.
of course.
Uh,
Okay.
so that has been the journey. What what helped me take that plan was essentially, I always had that bug to do something. It's always hard to take that first step, right? So when we took that
I can't
franchisee,
agree more. Yeah,
when we
yeah.
took that franchisee, that 1 year of period where we actually ran it ourselves, it was a low risk, low involvement thing, but that gave us a lot of confidence, in terms of how we can scale,
Hmm.
how a business is run, because both of us in fact come from a middle class, very service class background. Mother and father, always work for government jobs, right? So that first step was important. Once we did that, we kind of had that confidence that we could scale it up. uh, so that's how I joined Zomoz. Yeah.
Wow. That is inspiring, Akash, from being a franchisee owner to an employee and then getting a share of the company and being elevated to a co-founder. That's an interesting journey. It indeed becomes difficult when you want to side hustle something and you have a full-time job. You still manage to run a franchisee store because and I'm sure you've had sleepless nights or spent extra hours to balance these two journeys, the full-time job and also this. That must be a challenge for you. That must have been a challenge. I can't
Indeed.
agree more. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed it was. For the first couple of months, it was really tough. It gets better once you
Mhm.
start seeing the traction, and that emotional involvement with the brand. It's the first month to set everything up, setting up that kiosk and running it. And it was a very small kiosk, right? So it was a 8 by 8 kiosk, a
Yeah.
64 square feet outlet out of a mall in Hyderabad. Right. And
Wow.
we were the first franchisee. So the franchisee model itself was not established back then for Zomoz.
Ah.
So yeah, first couple
Okay.
of months
Okay.
were tough, but then once we started getting that rush right on selling the
Uh-huh.
products and we started seeing the traction, it was fun. And then you
Yeah.
get emotionally involved so much that you don't really worry about the care about the title.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I believe we have to be a little perseverant about the journey in itself
Yeah,
because the teething problems that you may face while setting up something can sometimes be frustrating or most of the times be frustrating and you want to quit or you want to give up at some time. So what was your motivation to quit and then stick to building this? Did you look at the money coming in? Did you look at the learnings? Because at some point, I believe money becomes constant and you only want to look at the learnings in your career or in your professional journey or be in personal journey as well. What motivated you
yeah.
to quit
So I
and
have to be
be
very
with
honest, right?
Zomoz?
I mean,
Mm.
to be honest, money wise, we took a cut in our paycheck when we moved from Deloitte to Zomoz, and a big cut, right? Like 70-80%, right? So it
Damn.
was not
Okay.
money. Right? The ability to know that you are working for your own, you can scale the limit. There's
Uh-huh.
an unlimited potential to scale is what actually will drive you. So eventually, see, end of the day, for all entrepreneurs, upcoming entrepreneurs,
Hmm.
it's a long journey, right? It's a 10-year, 10 to if you see all the successful startups in India, it is essentially 10 to 15 years, for them to build to get to that stage, and that's when you actually start to make real money. The first 4 5 years is it's
Hmm.
majorly about hard work, perseverance, being there every day doing it. So that's why I said it initially, right? You have to love your the thing you're doing, right? You should have fun while doing
Yeah.
it, because the first 3 years
Yeah.
you will not make money, and when you look around and you see your peers making money, you will feel that thing, right? Once you have
Yeah.
that love for the, I mean, I know I'm repeating it, but that's the most important ingredient in this thing.
Of
So
course.
yeah, so that's what
Yeah.
motivated me, right? We and and of course, with that, with the
Mm-hmm.
love for the brand, or to scale a consumer brand, it was also about how we got about. So shares help me a lot, right? So as co-founders, right,
Hmm.
what is your equation
Yeah.
with your co-founder also helps a lot, because there'll be a lot
Yeah.
of ups and downs in the journey. right? And
Yeah, yeah,
right from not getting an investment to getting an investment and celebrating that, to scaling to 50 outlets to reaching that 1 CR mark in revenue. So a lot of ups and downs in the process. So it's very important to have uh, your co-founders where you can kind of depend emotionally on them, for advice for
yeah,
them. So that is another
of course.
important factor.
Yeah, I agree. Because if there is a conflict in the vision or mission that you want to see for the company, it becomes really challenging.
Yeah,
And when there are multiple co-founders, it becomes furthermore challenging because all of you being on the same page is very difficult. And you probably spend more time on convincing why we should try A versus B and why not something else. So I believe whatever you said can be uh, can be interpreted the way you said. Yeah,
yeah,
I understood. Awesome. So while scaling up, what were your top three problems, if you recollect from when you began, be
yeah.
it the customer research or be it the supply constraints you have, or sometimes finding the right market fit becomes one of the biggest challenges because you have very limited data on whether some customer or many customers would love your product. And in the first place, we don't even know what customer wants.
Right.
Did you face any such challenges? And if yes, could you just shed some light on top two or top three that are on top of your mind?
Sure, sure. So, the first challenge that we faced was, right. So I'll give some context on the background, right? In our industry, I mean, in our
Hmm.
category, specifically in momos, right? It's a
Yeah.
very skilled job, right? So you will always see with the
Hmm.
small momo players, they would have, skilled blue
Hmm.
collar laborers actually rolling
Hmm.
momos by hand in the back end,
Ah,
right?
okay.
When you start
Yeah.
scaling, right, you will face that
Yeah.
after a point, right? You can't continuously keep on hiring, training, and in our industry, in QSR in general, there's a lot of attrition, right?
Yeah.
So this was the biggest issue. So we started getting orders, but we were seeing we are unable to
Hmm.
fulfill it, right? So that
Hmm.
was one of the
Hmm.
biggest challenge. And the way we solved that is a lot of R&D. We purchased the machine from China. We kind of wrote that down, reverse engineered the entire thing. And now, in fact, we claim to be the only 100% automated player in the industry.
Wow.
So
Wow.
in fact, we usually talk about our competitors, and I it's commendable how Wow Momo has scaled to 400 outlets when they did, right. They took around 12 years. 2008 is when they started. They have done
Hmm.
beautifully well. They opened like kitchens in every city. They would have like 100 employees rolling momos by hand. It's such a tough thing to do, and they've
Whoa.
been able to do it, right. For
Yeah.
us, I mean, it
Yeah.
became really evident in the first 2 years that for us we have to go with automation. It will be tough for us to scale that way. So that was a
Okay.
major challenge, right? And so
Yeah.
everything is linked to this. So if you look at our industry, the if you do the automation, you're solving for taste, you're solving for quality, you're solving for
Yes.
consistency in the product, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and that's how those are the basic, building blocks you will see for all big QSR chains worldwide, right? You pick Domino's,
Hmm. Hmm.
McDonald's, all have the same,
Yeah.
inherently the quality would be fixed. You will get the same taste everywhere. They have a very good supply
Of
chain to
course.
support, right? So this was a major
Yeah.
problem. This we could,
Hmm.
once we solved this in 2020, right? Then we started scaling really quickly. So if you look at our, trajectory, we had like around
Hmm.
15, 20 outlets before that. And suddenly, once we figured it out, we opened like 36 outlets in 6 months,
Oh, that's 2x
right? That's how
in a
uh,
few short time. Uh-huh.
36 new outlets in 6 months, right? So we were doing
Wow.
extremely well. So now scalability is not a problem for us. So if you tell me now to go to a Delhi and open, right, all I need to
Hmm.
do is make frozen momos in our central production facility here and send it. So
Hmm.
our shelf life is anywhere about 6 to 9 months, right? So I can
Wow.
go to anywhere, any corner of the world today, and from here, from Hyderabad, I can supply and open new outlet, right?
That
So
is
this is what we
commendable.
have solved for. And of course, I mean, in the process, you keep on learning about the taste, and so this is the back end, right? But when a customer is eating it, it boils down to taste, right? And though it's very subjective, end of the day, what your ratings are will reflect on, Swiggy, Zomato. So
Yeah.
that's also we have been kind of we are there. We are one of the highest rated Momo player, right, in the cities we are present in. But that keeps on changing, right? So there are new learnings every day. There are new flavor we need to launch every year.
Yeah.
So that is something, it's a continuous iteration, so that we have been doing for a long
Yeah.
time. But
Yeah.
that said,
Yeah.
I would say our moat has been, backending,
Uh-huh.
everything, automating the backend and building that supply chain to scale quickly.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely agree, Akash. Anything that we want to start, I believe three key elements come into picture. It's people, process, and the skill. If we are able to nail on these three, I think any product will be a success. But what to tune in and what has to be tuned among these three becomes a challenge, and you have to understand very quickly on what has to be changed.
Right.
I believe you learned automation was the key back then because you had the recipe, but you can't scale it up because we can't keep hiring hundreds and hundreds of people just to roll momos.
Right.
So yeah, I believe that was a quick win and quick understanding as well. And you
Yeah.
focus on continuous improvement and iteration as well. Do you spend some time on focusing how to improve business every day? How do you get these inputs? Do you get these inputs from your customers or from your operations teams or any other teams within Zomos? How do you get that feedback? And is that channel accurate and is that channel established
Yeah.
for
So there are
Zomos?
multiple channels, right? So one is we have our
Mm-hmm.
in-house R&D, team. There are a couple of
Mm-hmm.
chefs, full time, only
Mm-hmm.
doing R&D on new flavors, new taste profiles,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
That said, you get a lot of input from your competitors, right? So once you see, I mean, the industries you can, from a taste perspective, right? If you look at, given that Wow has scaled to the level they are right now, around 400 outlets, they have crossed this stage, right? They've done a lot of things already, right? So we
Yeah.
try to avoid those
Yeah.
mistakes. So there are a lot of things that we were launching now that they've launched, 3 years back, and learned that it won't
Mm-hmm.
work because it's not
Mm-hmm.
scalable, and then moved on to
Mm-hmm.
the next thing. So we can altogether skip that curve, and just right there,
Yeah.
learn from them and launch it. So one is, of course, in-house R&D, right, on the taste profile,
Mm-hmm.
on the processes, right? So there are different types of
Mm-hmm.
preparation that you do, right? So the basic ones are like
Yeah.
steaming, frying, tossed in sauce, basic preparation. There are
Yeah.
new ones, innovative ones,
Yeah.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
which some players have done it in the past. So it's a lot of learning from, competition. And
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, you keep on looking at the market, right? And the market will give you a lot of feedback, right? You go to your
Yeah.
customers, they'll tell about momo sauce. So every time we'd go to our customers, right, we would have something or the other related to our sauce,
Yeah.
our cheese momo. So a lot of learnings from there, and then keep on. It's a continuous iteration, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, we have not perfected it. I don't think we'll ever perfect it, right? It is a journey, and we will get there. So, but these are the key channels, the R&D from our chefs, the competitor
Uh-huh.
analysis, what they have done in the past, what they're doing right now, and then finally from the
Okay.
customers.
Got it. And what are the sources that you usually refer for market analysis? Do we have any reliable sources that any company can use, or do you just deploy a team that actually performs some market analysis all the way through some reports or on ground? How do you usually source this information?
Sure. So, honestly, we don't have the kind of money to hire, market research firms. So, as a frugal
Okay.
startup, what we do is, we actually depend a lot on Swiggy and Zomato, right? So as
Okay.
Swiggy
Uh-huh.
Zomato, typically they come to you, they help a lot to innovate on new products. So based on the pan India data that they have, right, they'll tell you what is trending, right? So there are different seasons, right? So they'll tell you in this season, let's say a chicken 65 is trending. Can you launch something
Hmm.
along those lines, right? Or
Oh, okay.
Halim is trending, right? In Hyderabad, the seasons, right? There'll be a certain period of 2-3 months where only Halim would sell. Launch something. Then there is Navratri,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Can you launch some pure
Yeah.
veg product or so something of that sort, right? So the trend and the
Seasonal
trajectory,
dishes. Yeah.
they
Hmm.
help a lot in terms of pan India data as to what is happening, what kind of dishes are selling. So that is the most
Okay.
dependable
Hmm.
source, I would say.
Yeah, of course. That's coming right from the customers and it's always live, I believe.
Correct.
Okay. Is this open to any restaurant that's onboarded on Swiggy or Zomato, or
Yeah.
the restaurants usually have to pay some money to get
No,
these
no,
insights
it's
or
kind of an
something?
open source, right? So I mean,
Okay.
you will have
Okay.
assigned account managers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those account managers would help you scale your product because they have also have their internal targets
Mm-hmm.
to get the brand to a
Mm-hmm.
certain level in terms of revenue. So it's a collaborative exercise between Swiggy, Zomato, and restaurant partners.
Got it. Got it. That's interesting to know. This is like collaborating among businesses. Yeah,
Yeah,
mostly the businesses are competitive, but it is interesting to know that platforms like Swiggy and Zomato want to enable their customers indeed to further build on whatever customer data we get from the actual consumers. That's interesting to know.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So any mega trends that you're following about supply chain or the food industry as such, because you wanna head towards a direction in which the whole world is running. Do you follow any mega trends on the supply
So we
chain,
do.
especially QSR, etc.?
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely right. Globally, I would say a lot of trends. So globally, something like
Yeah.
a robotics as a service, right, for warehousing and logistics.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If you
Mm-hmm.
see companies like Gray Orange from India,
Uh-huh.
the Locus Automotive, Locus Robotics. So a lot of companies doing a lot of automation work for warehousing and logistics. So these are the global trends, and to get there, to improve the efficiency of the overall supply chain, it needs to be done. It is happening. From a I mean, I would say, I'll be very honest, right? In India, right, West is an altogether different curve, right? In
Of
India,
course.
the mega trend, not a trend, I would say essential requirement is to focus on our, cold chain, right? So we, in
Uh-huh.
fact, right now lack, the basic infrastructure itself of the cold chain. I mean, overall, right? All of us talk about, going to a 5 trillion economy and where our GDP, 60% of our consumption is, coming from groceries and these things. But to get there,
Yeah,
right, if you
yeah,
look at the other Western countries, they have very evolved supply chain, the basic one. So on one part, you
yep,
have, such things like drone delivery and robotics as a service and those things. But in India, what we need to,
yeah.
that's what I feel, right? We need to focus on the basics, even for the next 4 or 5 years. Build that
Hmm.
cold chain infrastructure, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so if I have to give some numbers, right, some
Hmm.
perspective on that. So India is the largest milk producer, okay, and I believe we are
Oh,
the second largest agriculture produce country, right, after
yeah,
China, correct?
yeah,
But if
yeah.
you look at
Yeah.
our global, hunger index, this thing, we are ranked like around, if I'm
Huh.
not wrong, around 105, 107 out of
Oh.
121 countries. Right? Just these two data points, if you
Okay.
see, you will see there's a lack of, infra. So we are producing
Hmm.
enough, we are unable to distribute it.
And exporting it probably
Exporting
to,
is one. There's a lot of wastage,
yeah.
right? Right from, if you
Ah,
see,
okay.
for farmers, right from the farm
Hmm.
gate to the pack house
Hmm.
and to the distribution, right? There's a lot
Hmm.
of wastage. If you can just,
Hmm.
zero down on that and focus on that leg of the supply chain, correct? We can reduce this number a lot. We have around roughly about 190 to 200 million malnourished, population in the country, right? When I say
Okay.
malnourished, not, of
Yeah.
course, not to that level
Yeah.
according to that hunger
Yeah.
index. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
scope there to work. And see, we are building the basics, right? If you build that cold chain infrastructure, it will not only help, the base. So one is our industry where QSR, right? It's more on the evolved side of it, right? You're offering, end of the day, you're offering momos and burgers,
Yeah.
right, and pizza. So, but if you look at the basics, right? Milk, farm produce, grains,
Yeah.
those
Staple
meat,
food that anyone
stable
would
food,
require. Yeah.
that is more important. So it's a
Yeah.
very interesting thing. So I think in the next, 4 to 5 years, and government is putting in a lot of money, right? If you see the
Hmm.
kind of
Hmm.
subsidies we are getting for building big bulk storage cold room, it's huge, right? So you will see a lot of change shift there. Most of this dry,
Hmm.
supply chain where we are wasting food and all the perishables would move to cold chain, right? And there'll be a big shift,
Yeah.
right? And the economics, right now, the problem right now is, right, the upfront capex is too high to build a cold room, right? So that's where the
Yeah.
government has to pitch in. And for all bigger countries, if you see that has been the trend. Central
Hmm.
body government would pitch in, give some subsidies on the land, have that
Yeah.
infra subsidies, and that's how it is done.
For the infra.
We will
Yeah.
reach
Hmm.
there. So that is one trend I think would
Hmm.
happen. So it's a very good time to, entrepreneurs to get into that field. Make that solve for that first mile, second mile, and the last mile there. Because the P&L stacks up really beautifully for this, this part of the business.
Okay. Yeah. That's a new thing I learned today. I'll check that out.
Sure.
Cool. Thanks, Akash. One last message or key message for our audience about the entrepreneurship or people who want to become entrepreneurs. What is one key message that you would pass? I know you spoke about love and passion, hard work towards starting up something, but
Yeah.
we lack some academically we lack some skill in training people as entrepreneurs. All in schooling and college, we just learn about how to probably get a job and what are the different types of jobs that are offered in the market, but none teaches about entrepreneurship as uh, a profession or as a career that one can pick. Do you have any message for people who want to begin that journey?
Sure, sure. See, honestly, I'm not yet there to give, advice to aspiring entrepreneurs. But if you ask me an unsolicited advice, right, I would say, the hardest thing is to start, right? All of us would read a lot of things, theoretically. I mean, I all of us would discuss with our friends that we have a lot of ideas to do, and then we go
Yeah.
on and Google it and find like 5 people already doing it in the world, right? And then we get disappointed and
Yep.
disheartened that we can't do it. See, it
Yeah.
boils down to taking that first step, yeah, doing it. So if you can do that, that's the hardest thing, right? And eventually the PMF will follow, the money will follow, everything would come. If you can start, right, and start in a big market, right? Those two
Mm-hmm.
things. So
Mm-hmm.
if the TAM is big, and you can grow
Mm-hmm.
exponentially, right? When I say exponentially, right, it need not be only tech, right? So for us,
Yeah.
for example, right, as a food business, we are very
Mm-hmm.
linear in our approach, right? So if you open more number of outlets, you will get more revenue, right? So
Yeah.
the more number
Yeah.
of, ideally that should not be the case. And our
Hmm.
one of our investors, they have solved it beautifully. Rebel Foods, right? 10 years back, they decided that you can run actually 10 brands from a kitchen, right? And then the cloud kitchen
Oh
concept
yeah.
came into being, and then everybody thought,
Oh
now it
yeah.
sounds so obvious, right? Back then, 10 years back, it was not so obvious, right? So
Yes.
that's how we
I
are also
agree.
trying. We
Yes.
are still a very linear business, opening momos. So we are also
Hmm.
trying to solve for it. How to sweat that asset to get more money out of the same thing. So get into exponential business, with a bigger TAM, and just take that first step. Take that first step no matter what. And it's okay. First 6 months you won't be able to figure out. It's okay to fail. Try 5 things before you fall in love with something. Right. So that would be
Okay.
my
So
advice. Yeah.
yeah. So fail fast and pick up the new thing. That's what you suggest.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Akash. It was lovely speaking to you and all your warmth in the conversations. I personally loved it. You, of course, you have a very commendable title, co-founder, but you're just like the next Hyderabadi guy who loves biryani in Hyderabad.
Yeah.
And of course, try out the momos, guys. Akash probably started a few more flavors. I checked them out on the website. Go have fun and relish the new momos that Zomoz launched. Thanks, Akash. It was
Thanks a
very
lot,
nice
Sunny.
speaking to you.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.